Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me today on Krista's So Crafty. My name is Krista. Today we're going to make a cute little snowman ornament. So this is not my idea. I seen a picture of it on the internet, probably on Pinterest. I don't have a link to the person who created it, but I took that picture and I used it as inspiration to make my own. So now there's kind of a couple in this series. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make the snowman, but I do have a video coming up with the Santa, so keep an eye out for that. This is such a fun little project that really anybody could make, and I hope that you will join me today in making these out of the Jenga blocks and a few supplies that you probably have kicking around home. So let's just get right into the project of making the snowman. So these are the supplies that you will need to make the snowman. You're going to begin with 3 Jenga blocks. Okay, I have 3 of those here, and we're going to set them down so that they're on this wider side, not this narrower side. So we want it to be like that. And you're also going to need some sort of like a greenery. I have an old wreath that I snip little pieces of greenery off so I can use them for my various crafts. So we're going to need that, one little piece of that, and some sort of a ornament decoration. I have these little gold beads that are on a little wire, and I'm just going to use that along with the greenery, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. And then I have this little carrot nose. Now this little carrot nose, my husband so lovingly went out to the garage and cut me some, and so I'm going to paint it orange, of course, and I'm going to use that now. If you don't have a wooden carrot nose like this, you could use like air dry clay and shape a carrot nose and then paint it. You could, I know that you can buy carrot noses. At the time of me filming this, I could not find them, hence why I had my husband cut them out for me. Or you could just use like a little stick. Get a little stick and paint it up, and it'll look like a little carrot nose. The last thing we're going to need as far as supplies to make this is some twine. Now I'm just using this little piece of jute I have here, and we're going to attach that onto the top here, and that will be our hanger for our little snowman. The other thing I do use is I use a combination of both a wet glue and a hot glue, and this allows me to put the wet glue and some hot glue and put that together, and the hot glue will hold this in place until the wet glue dries, and the wet glue is going to give you your permanent glue. I'm also going to use, I almost forgot, a little piece of ribbon, and that's going to be our little decoration down here. You're also going to need red, white, and black paint. That's the colors I'm using for my snowman. You can use whatever you want, but I used black, white, and red with this little ribbon. So let us get started with this project. Okay, let's just move this stuff out of the way. I'm going to bring in this rack so I can paint these and not get paint all over my desk. So again, I'm going to paint them black, white, and red. And I have my paint here. I'm just using acrylic paint. This is Crafter's acrylic paint. And I'm going to start out with the white. And I have just a little paintbrush here. So now when I go to paint this, I'm going to leave these 2 pieces here unpainted. And I'm going to paint everywhere else. So basically all the way around this way, but I'm going to leave these 2 short sides not painted. That will allow me to glue them together and not have them not stick because of the paint. All right, so just paint this up here. Now with the black, I'm going to paint the whole thing, but I'm going to leave one side of this unpainted so that it can stick together. And then with the red, I'll do the same as the black, paint the whole thing, but I'll leave one side unpainted. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint both the red and the black, and I'll come back as soon as these are done. And being as we are painting, I'm also going to bring in some orange. Now this is a little bit different brand, but it's still acrylic paint. And I'm going to paint up this little nose. Now with the carrot nose, you're going to leave one side not painted. You need to figure out which way you kind of like your nose to go. I like it like that, so I'm going to leave this unpainted. And I am a very messy painter. I tend to get paint everywhere, so I'm going to start painting on the sides. And this is just a little nose, so it's not going to take much paint at all. And that's the sides all done. Set it down and paint the top. Now with the white and the red, I will go over them again. Actually, I'll go over all three of them again just to give them a second coat to make sure I like the coverage. And then once I'm done that, I will come back and we can start putting our little snowman together. All right, everything is all painted and it's all dry. And you'll notice that there is some paint, a little bit of paint on those sections that I said not to paint. That's perfectly fine. Just don't paint them all the way. And this is the glue I'm going to be using. It's the Aleene's original tacky glue. And it's ultra strong, dries clear, and it's non-toxic. So it's a great glue to be using. And of course, I'm going to be using my hot glue gun as well. And now we are ready to go. We need to lay out our snowman. So the black is the hat. So we'll put that at the top. The white is his face, so I'm going to put that in the middle. And then the red will be the scarf. So there is how our snowman is going to go together. And of course, our nose is going to go on there. Now, if you don't want to paint the back, you don't have to. It's just something that I thought it just kind of worked nicely together. If you don't want to paint the back, just paint those sides. And then you could put like a little piece of material or a piece of felt on the back. But honestly, it doesn't take that much longer to paint the back. I've got my glue gun hot and I'm going to glue these together in this order. So I'm going to flip this one up and I'm going to take my Aleene's tacky glue, and it's getting empty, so I have to shake it down here. Shake, shake, shake. And I'm going to put some glue around the outside like this. Don't get too carried away with your glue. I'm going to leave this laying on its side so that it's easier to deal with. And now I'm just going to run a bead of glue, hot glue, down the center. And then I will take my white and put that on there. And I like to lay it down on the table and make sure it's nice and together. That. I'm just going to hold it in place for a minute just so that hot glue will set up, and then we can move on to our next piece. Okay, so now we're going to lift this up and we're going to put Aleene's, the tacky glue here. Like that. And run our bead of hot glue down the center. Just a thin little line. It doesn't have to be real thick. And then we'll put our black piece on top. And now we'll lay this back down. And I check it left and right and up and down and then just squeeze it together. And now we're just going to let that hot glue set and then we can move on to our next step. Need to Mod Podge this. So on this one I did Mod Podge it, and I just feel that it helps protect that paint a bit. So I'm going to grab my Mod Podge real quick and we're going to Mod Podge this whole entire thing and the nose, and we'll just let it sit until it's dry, and then we can start putting the rest of this together. Okay, so I've brought in my rack back in, and I'm going to bring this in, and I'm just using the regular matte Mod Podge. So let's get a coat on here. This helps to protect the paint, gives it a nice sheen, and just makes it look that much more professional. And I'm going to go all the way around. I'm holding on to the top and the bottom, and I'm going to paint all the sides first. And then this end. Now you could use the shiny if you wanted. I like the matte. Just wiping up some of that excess Mod Podge so that it doesn't create little bumps. I'm going to stand it up and we'll paint the top edge, and I'm going to let it, I'll bring in my heat gun actually, and I'm going to get this dry and then I'll paint the bottom with the Mod Podge. So this is the heat gun I have. It's MOFA, M-O-F-A heat tool. And of course it's a pretty pink, but color doesn't matter, of course. So I'm just gonna plug this in and dry this up. Okay, so now that that's set, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put a little bit of Mod Podge on that bottom part, like this. And again, wipe up any blobs that may go over. And bring in that little nose. I'm going to put a little bit on there as well. It doesn't need very much. So I'm just going to scoot this out of the way for a second. The very first thing I'm going to do is, because my ribbon, as you can see, is starting to fray there, I'm just going to take a lighter and I'm just going to seal up those ends. This just kind of helps to melt those and they don't fray. We do not want it to fray. Now our next step is to just take this. What I like to do is take the ribbon and put it in the center, and then I will just take this and turn it over and fold these over. Make sure it's centered on the red block. And then we can just take some glue, some hot glue on the one side, and attach that. And just let that sit for a few seconds for that glue to dry. And then we're going to make sure that this is centered. And we want this snug. Put some glue on this side and press that in place. And this will hold the ribbon on just like that. So I'm just going to flip this over and press down, and that will help to disperse that glue evenly in here. The next thing that we need to do is to take our little gold piece. Now, if this is what you're using, if you're using something else, I mean, you don't have to have a wire on it. This just happens to have a wire on it. So I'm going to take it and I think just kind of weave it into the back there. And you know what? I think that's a little bit too big. I have some little wire cutters here. I'm actually just going to cut that probably in half, just because it seems to be a little bit big for him. That'll be better, I think. Yeah, that's a little better size for him. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to stick it in the back. And you know what? Now I need to trim that off a little bit. There we go. And if you don't have something with a wire on it, you can just, you know, use a little bead or whatever and put a little dab of glue on here and just stick it onto here. But I'm going to stick this in here like this and put that wire at the back. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of that bead and then push it into place like that. And that will be our little ornament for our little guy here. Just like that. Just gonna hold that in place for a second. There we go. So that's going to be the ornament. So I like to kind of put that in place and put the nose where I think it should go. And I like to put the nose on the white area because, of course, that's the snowman's face, right? The snowball part of the snowman. So I like to put that, and I'm going to put it, I think, like that on an angle, similar to what I did here, so that I can put the little eyes right above it. So now I'm going to just use some hot glue and put that on the back of the greenery, whatever it is you're going to use for your decoration, and stick that down. And I'm going to use some hot glue on the back of the little nose. Of course, you've got strings going everywhere. And that's cute, just like that. I'm going to push that down and get all these strings off. Oh, he's starting to look so cute. The next step is I'm going to do the eyes. So I like to use a paintbrush, the end of a paintbrush, to make the dots for the eyes. So I'm just looking for a small paintbrush so that it has a small end on it. And that's what I'm going to use to make the eyeballs on our snowman. I'm just going to use Crafters acrylic paint, white and black. All right, so you do not need very much at all. I just kind of shake it a little bit so that there's some in the lid. And I'm going to grab a little piece of paper. Okay, so I have just a little piece of paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dab that in there, and then I'm going to practice. See, it just makes a dot. And that's what I want. So I'm going to start with the black, and I'm going to make the eyeball. So I'm going to put it right about here. And we're going to give them 2 eyeballs, of course. Now, if you want it bigger, you can just kind of dab in a little circle. Of course, we want them kind of even. Perfect. So I'm going to get out my heat gun again. I just took my heat gun and I just briefly went across there, just enough to get it so it was kind of set. And now I'm going to take my white, because I'm going to use the same paintbrush and to make the little white dots. So you just take a little bit of the white and you're just going to tap. Just tap it. You don't want to go too far down. Perfect. See? That's so cute. Okay, so I'm just going to take some scissors and cut off this one little piece that wants to hang right down there. So again, I'm just going to take my heat gun. I'm not going to dry it completely, but enough that it's not going to drip if I, put it up. Just like that. This is all done, except we need to add our little jute on, our little hanger. What I like to do is I just take it and I'm going to tie a knot in the bottom. So I'm going to fold this over in half and I'm going to tie a knot in the bottom. This just makes sure that the ties are not going to come undone. Pull this in here. And then I'll snip off these ends. And that is what we're going to glue onto the top of here. So I like to put some hot glue in the center. If you want to measure it, by all means you can. And now I'm going to put some around it. Basically, you just want to attach this down. And we just need to wait for that to set. Just pushing that down into the hot glue. And that is our little craft. Isn't that just so cute? Now this is not totally set yet, so I'm just gonna wait until that's set and then I'll come back and I'll show you the finished product. And there is our cute little ornament made from Jenga blocks, some ribbon, and some little stuff that you probably have kicking around your house. I think they're so, so cute. And my plan for these is when I wrap a present, I'm just going to put it on there as an ornament on the present and then with a little gift tag. I just love how these turn out. I think they are so stinking cute. I really hope you give them a try. They're so much fun. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this little craft today. I think it just turned out so cute. I love it. And really, they didn't take that long. And if you get a Jenga game, if you, find it at a garage sale or a secondhand store, or even if you buy it new, you're going to get a lot of ornaments out of one box. I really like how the simplicity of this, I think it's, you know, something that anybody of any age could make. You know, you need some help with the glue gun, but other than that, I mean, it's really a fun little project. I have another little guy coming out I showed you before. It's this little Santa, and I was going to put them in the same video, but it's getting to be too long already, so I'm going to do a separate video for the Santa, so keep an eye out for that one. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel a lot. Consider subscribing to my channel as well. I post a video every Thursday, and click on the bell to receive notification every time I upload a new video. Thank you again for joining me, and happy crafting.